So we're just gonna start first in a comfortable seated position. If you have your blanket, your bolster, or pillow that you can sit on so you can elevate your hips. So you wanna elevate your hips. That way we can have a long, straight spine. No, you wanna sit on the bolster behind you there. And then you can just come into a comfortable seated position, a comfortable cross-leg position. We just want our knees below our hips, and that way we can create a long, straight spine. And then once you're in a comfortable seat, you can gently close your eyes. And just take a moment to arrive on your mat. You can place your hands on your thighs. You can place them face down for grounding and face up, palms up for receiving. Let's take a deep inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth. Let's take a few of those. Inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth, and one more. Inhale through the nose and let it all go. And let's just start to notice sounds outside of the room we're in. If we're outside, maybe noticing sounds farther away from us. And just start to notice those sounds. There's no need to put a label on them or figure out what they are. Just hearing them and then letting them go. And then start to notice sounds closer to you in the room you're in. If you're outside, just closer to you and around you. And again, just noticing the sounds, not putting labels on anything. Just hearing them and letting them go. And then drawing our attention even closer, start to notice your breath. Notice the cool air on your inhales and the warm air on your exhale. Breathing in and out of the nostrils. And just start to sense that breath moving throughout your body, into your chest, into your lungs, your belly. And imagine that air, that oxygen just moving throughout your body, throughout your blood. Filling your body with oxygen, nourishment. Just helping you arrive here in this moment, connecting to your breath. You can always come back to this feeling during the practice. If your mind starts to wander, you can always come back to the breath to bring you back to the moment. And take a moment here to set an intention for your practice. An intention that you'd like to hold throughout the practice and maybe throughout your day. Taking a few more inhales and exhales here. And when you're ready, gently blink open the eyes. Good morning, everyone. I hope you feel a little more grounded now, here on the mat. We're going to also start with a pranayama called Nadi Shodhana. Nadi Shodhana is alternate nostril breathing. It literally means channel purification. So channel meaning your nostrils, one of many channels of the body. So we're going to use a mudra, a hand gesture called Vishnu mudra. So it's where you use your thumb and your pinky and your ring finger, and then you tuck your pointer finger and your middle finger in. So we're going to be using our thumb. You only use the right hand. We're going to be using your thumb to plug the right nostril, and then your ring finger to plug the left nostril. So just as it sounds, alternate nostril breathing for Nadi Shodhana, we're going to be plugging the right side, inhaling through the left, holding it at the top while we switch fingers, and then exhale through the right, take a pause. Inhale through the right, pause while you switch fingers, and then exhale through the left. So I hope that makes sense, and that is one round of Nadi Shodhana, and we're going to do a few rounds here. It's a revitalizing, cleansing, calming breath that you can do anytime throughout the day, and it's wonderful to do throughout the day. So we'll just start that here. So using your right hand for Vishnu mudra, thumb, ring finger, and pinky out, and other fingers in. You can have your left hand palm up or palm down on your thigh and just resting there. And then let's start by plugging the right nostril with your thumb. Inhale through the left, hold, switch fingers, and exhale through the right. Take a pause at the end of the exhale, then inhale through the right, pause and switch fingers, then exhale through the left, pausing at the bottom. Inhale through the left, pausing at the top to switch fingers, and exhale out the right, pausing at the bottom of the exhale. Inhale through the right, pausing to switch fingers, and exhale through the left, pausing at the bottom. Inhale through the left, pausing to switch fingers, and exhale through the right. Inhale through the right, pausing at the top, switch fingers, and exhale through the left. And then take a few more rounds at your own time, your own breath, whatever feels good for you. If at any time during this pranayama it begins to be too much for you, you can release the pranayama and just come to regular breathing. We'll just do a couple more on our own. And when you're done, release your hands. Take a moment just to notice how you're feeling. Hopefully you feel grounded, calm after that pranayama. And like I said, it's a great pranayama to do throughout the day, anytime you need to. So we'll get started here. We'll come onto all fours for cat-cow. So placing the bolster or your blanket behind. How'd that feel?
Good.
Good. Okay, so for cat-cow, we'd like to have our hands and wrists underneath our shoulders, our knees underneath our hips. And then we're taking an inhale, and on that inhale, we're dropping our belly, lifting the tailbone, and opening the chest, keeping our gaze looking forward. Then exhale, press through the hands, arching the back into cat. Inhale, drop the belly, gaze comes up. And exhale, press through the hands, pressing down the tops of the feet, the shins, maybe tucking the chin. Inhale, looking up, dropping the belly, still pressing through the tops of the feet and the hands. Then exhale, press down, arching the back, tucking the tailbone and the chin. And take a few more of these on your own inhales and your own exhales. Trying to lengthen each inhale and exhale. And just taking one more on your own. And then coming back to a neutral spine. We'll stop here. And then let's extend that right leg out. So you're extending the right leg straight back. Your hips are still neutral, your hips are pointing down. You're placing the ball of the foot on the ground so you have a steady foundation with that right foot. Then let's tent the fingers with the left hand, so coming up onto the fingers of the left hand, and really find that sturdy foundation with the right hand down and the left leg down. Then when you feel ready, maybe lift that right back leg and that left hand maybe also. Engage the core. We still want to have a neutral spine, so we're not arching the back. If we are arching the back, maybe drop the foot a little bit more. We don't want any arch in the back. Take a couple breaths here. Feel as though you're being pulled by your left hand and pulled by your right foot. One more inhale and exhale down. Then let's try it on the other side. So grounding down through that right hand and grounding down through, that left hand and grounding down through the right foot. Let's place that left foot back, so straight back behind you. You're on the ball of the left foot, and then let's tent the fingers of the right hand. And again, just finding that steady foundation. The left hand is right underneath the shoulder, right leg is pressing down. And when you feel ready, you can lift up that back leg and maybe lift up the right hand. Finding that steadiness, maybe finding a drishti gaze just down at the ground so that you keep the integrity of the curve of your neck still. Taking an inhale and an exhale. And again, imagine like you're being pulled by your right hand and pulled by your left foot. Take one more inhale and exhale down. Let's do some wrist stretches here. So still in our quadruped position, so still where our hands are underneath our shoulders, we're spreading across the collarbone, so we're not scrunching here, we're spreading across the collarbone. And let's just start to rotate our hands out. So you can rotate them, whatever feels comfortable for you. If you can bring them all the way back, facing your knees, that's great. If not, just whatever feels good for you to where you feel like you're getting a good wrist stretch. And take a moment here, take a few breaths. If you'd like, maybe find some small movements, making some small circles. Since we're going to be breaking down Surya Namaskar A today, Sun Salutation A, and maybe switch directions now. Since we're going to be breaking it down, we do want to have these good stretches with the wrists since we'll be in down dog for a good amount of time, plank, chaturanga, so we really need to be mindful of our wrists. And then we can come to a stopping, steady position, bring the hands back forward, take a pause, just see how that feels. And then let's bring the hands down, so the tops of the hands on the ground now. So for me, I need to come forward a little bit so that I'm not putting too much pressure on them. Just bring my knees forward, and then whatever feels good for you. If you need to bend the elbows, straighten the arms, just do what feels good for you to get that good stretch here. And then releasing. And then we can sit back and like Patrick's doing, just stretch out those wrists. Make some circles. Get them moving. All right, then coming back, we're going to come back into that quadruped position. Now this time, let's bring our right foot up to meet our right hand. So finding that steady position, we're coming into a low lunge. So when you're ready, coming up onto the knee, and just finding a low lunge. If you need to place something under the back knee for support, you can roll your mat or maybe bring a blanket or a towel underneath it. We're not going to be here long, just a few breaths just to kind of get a good stretch through that front hip flexor, that left hip flexor. Couldn't get that out. Taking a few breaths here. And then placing the hands back down releasing that foot back, and then switching legs. Bring the left foot forward to the left hand. When you're ready and feel steady, like you have a steady foundation, coming up into a low lunge on the other side. Maybe finding a little movement here. Again, whatever feels good for your body, not pushing your body too far. We're just trying to open up that front hip flexor, that right hip flexor in this one. Just kind of waking up the whole body. Taking a couple more breaths here. Ooh, all right, it's already getting hot, which is good. It's been freezing in here all morning. And then let's exhale, place the hands down, come back into our all fours and come back into child's pose. So sitting back on the heels, you can have your hands out in front or down by your side. We want our knees not too wide, but just spread a little bit, but not too wide, so that we can still have the support of our knees on our front body. Just taking a moment here, seeing how your body feels, waking up. And of course, during the practice, if at any time you need to come back to your breath or you need to take a break, then always come into child's pose. We're going to be, like I said, breaking down Surya Namaskar A along, of course, with the sequence. But with that, we are going to be holding poses a little bit longer. So you don't need to hold the poses for as long as I'm talking, because that is going to be holding them for a little while. But of course, so if you need to take a break, of course, at any time, take child's pose or whatever feels good for you, just coming out of the pose to take a moment to yourself. And then coming back up onto all fours. Let's bring our hands a few inches in front of us. Bring them to about the width of the mat, so wide. So we're going to do a wide down dog, tucking the toes and coming up into your first downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Maybe bring your feet a little bit wider than you typically do, so you can just start to wake up the legs. Bringing a bend through each knee, kind of pedaling out the feet, just waking up the back of the legs. Really pressing down through the hands. Maybe bending the knees so much that you're almost on the ground and then coming up onto your toes. Whatever feels good for you. Whatever you need to do to wake up in this first down dog. And then coming to stillness. Let's walk our hands back to our feet. Hands back to the feet. And then come into our first Uttanasana forward fold. So in forward fold, we're essentially hanging here. You want to have a good bend in the knees, especially in this first one though. So your stomach is almost pretty much resting on your thighs. And you're releasing the head down to the ground, releasing the crown down. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows with opposite hands and swaying back and forth. Remembering to also shift weight more into the ball of your feet, because you are most likely sitting back in the heels. So just being mindful to spread your weight across all parts of the feet. Maybe shaking your head yes and no to wake up the neck as well. And then coming to stillness, let's walk our hands back. And then come down onto all fours. And then we're coming down onto our belly, slowly lowering down. So this is where we're going to take, Courtney, I was telling you, Shalabhasana, locust pose. So we're on our stomach. You can place your forehead down on the ground. Your arms are next to your body with palms facing down. You're pressing into all parts of the top of your foot, and just extending the legs out. So you have your head down for now, forehead down on the ground. And then let's lift the shoulders, lift the head, and then lift the arms. Taking an inhale and an exhale, really pressing the legs into the ground, extending the arms back, and exhale, lower down, right cheek to the ground. Taking a pause here. So these are like mini back bends to wake up the spine, My teacher likes to say that they're important back bends, which they definitely are. They're wonderful for the back. Coming back to center with your forehead on the ground, lift the shoulders, soften the shoulders away from the ears, then lift the head, lift the arms, and maybe lift the legs also. Pulling yourself back with your arms, lifting your legs, engaging your thighs, your glutes, inhaling and exhaling. Taking one more breath in, and exhale, release the left cheek to the ground. Maybe you sway back and forth with your hips, just release your back, feels good. We're just going to take this one more time. So this time we're going to have our hands interlaced behind our back. So if that doesn't feel good for you, you can still keep your hands next to you facing each other, or you can bring, if you have a strap or a towel, you can grab that. Or if you can interlace your hands, let's bring our head back to center with the forehead on the ground. Interlace your hands, and let's bend our elbows for now, bending them and placing the interlaced hands on our tailbone. Then engage the biceps. And as you engage the biceps, straighten the arms and pull yourself up, lifting up, softening the shoulders away from the ears, lifting the hands, maybe lifting the feet, breathing, lifting as high as you can. Take 2 more breaths. Inhale, exhale, inhale, lifting as high as you can, and exhale all the way down. And taking a pause here. And then placing the hands next to your shoulders, next to your ribs, coming up into all fours, tucking the toes, and downward facing dog. Just taking a few breaths here in downward facing dog. Remembering to press through all parts of the hands, especially the thumb and the index finger. And like I said, we're going to be breaking these down today, so I'll definitely go through all of them. Of course, placing a bend in the knees as well, so you can get a good long line from the crown of your head to your tailbone. And then walking your feet up to your hands, and coming into that forward fold, Uttanasana. Then let's slowly roll all the way up, one vertebrae at a time, with our head being the last thing that comes up. All right, how you feeling?
Great, that's a good class, thank you.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be the ongoing joke? Okay, so we're going to be breaking down Surya Namaskar A, like I said, just so that we are being safe with each of these poses, since they are something that you see throughout a lot of classes. So we want to be doing them properly so that we don't cause any injury to ourselves. So let's start by standing in Tadasana mountain pose. So this is a pose I'm sure you hear many times throughout class. So it seems kind of like maybe just a pose where you're standing at the top and then you move to something else. But really it's a very important pose. It's a blueprint pose where you can use all of these cues and these alignments for a lot of the poses, almost all of the poses you'll do throughout class. So let's bring our feet hip distance apart, or you can bring them to touch, whatever feels good for you. If you are pregnant or need a little bit more foundation, you can bring them even wider than hip distance, whatever feels good for you. So in all poses where our feet are on the ground, we want to really press down through all parts of our feet. Pressing down through all parts, maybe lift your toes, spread them as much as you can, and then place them down. So that way you have a really nice, steady foundation. Then moving up, we are lifting our kneecaps and engaging our quads. So that really engages the legs. And you want to, whenever you do lift the kneecaps, we're not trying to straighten them so much that it hyperextends them or hurts them. So if you do need a small bend, you can place a small bend in the knees to release any hyperextension. Then we're lifting the front hip points. So the front hip points, these little bones right here, it might be a weird cue, but we're lifting those. That way we're softening our tailbone down. Now this doesn't mean that we're tucking our tailbone like this. It just means that if we are arched in an anterior tilt, we can kind of just neutralize that. So we're lifting the front hip points so that we're softening the tailbone down.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just got a package.
It's my barbell.
Okay, good. And after that, so we're lifting the front hip points, softening the tailbone down. Now, whenever we spread across the collarbone, we want to really create space in the collarbone. Now, if you notice, whenever you do that, you kind of lift these ribs. So we want to soften those front ribs. So spreading across the collarbone and softening your front ribs down. So you can do that by engaging your core, engaging your transverse abdominis, these muscles that go like this, like corset muscles. You're engaging those to bring those front ribs in. Then bringing the hands next to your side, palms facing forward. And then we also always want to keep a small tuck to the chin. So this is protecting our neck. So instead of looking up and dropping your neck back or just looking any other way, we want to make sure that we have a nice drishti gaze forward and a small tuck to the chin. So if you feel this, you should feel like a very strong, steady foundation through the feet, all the way up through the quads, through your core, your shoulders, all the way up. And then if you can imagine, it's almost like you're being pulled by the crown of your head by a string. So that kind of gives you that sense of that tuck. So this is Tadasana, mountain pose. So let's inhale, circle the arms overhead, and let's just stay here for a second in Utthita Hastasana. Or Urdhva Hastasana. So our arms are up next to our head, biceps next to the ears. We have straight, strong arms, whether the hands are closer together or farther apart, whatever you can do to keep the integrity of the arms. We are doing an external rotation of the hands, which means we are rolling those triceps forward and the biceps backwards. So if you feel, that kind of gives you that same sense of opening your collarbones. Again, whenever we do this, we want to soften those front ribs down, engage the transverse abdominis. And take a moment here. Really hold those hands, spreading those fingers. And then exhale, and we're going to fold forward. Now, whenever we fold forward, we want to be mindful to keep our hips over our ankles. So you almost have to lean a little bit more forward to come in all the way down. And then we're hanging in Uttanasana, forward fold. So in that first Uttanasana that we spoke about, we had a really strong, a really big bend in the knees, which is great to do at any time. It's almost like you're trying to lift your sit bones right here up to the sky, but really we also want to have a long line all the way down from our tailbone to the crown of our head. So we're trying to just release the back of the legs, but also release the spine. So placing a small bend in the knees is really good. It keeps you safe, keeps your body safe. Hey Adina. So that is Uttanasana, forward fold. Then coming up in the next pose is Ardha Uttanasana, so meaning halfway lift, half forward fold. So when we do this, we can have blocks in front of us. We can use a block to place our hands on. Again, we want just a long, straight spine from our tailbone all the way out of the crown of our heads. So whether that means having our hands on the floor, having our hands on our shins, maybe even our thighs, or blocks. Whatever helps you keep the integrity of that pose. So this is Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift, half forward fold, if you will. So that comes after Uttanasana, Ardha Uttanasana, Then we're folding back down and placing our hands down flat on the ground and stepping back into a plank position. For this first plank, if you want to place your knees down, you can. Like I said, we're going to be holding each pose for a little bit just to explain it. So in plank pose, we have, again, that same idea, a long line from the crown of our head all the way through our tailbone. We're not lifting our hips, we're not sinking our hips. One long line, like a plank, like a board. We're pressing down through all parts of our hands. So really being mindful of pressing down through your index finger, your thumb, middle finger, all fingers, ring finger, pinky. And really helping you engage the arms and open. So again, opening through the chest. And your gaze, your Drishti gaze here is looking just a few, maybe about a foot in front of yourself, in front of your hands. So a few inches in front of the mat. That way you can keep the integrity of your neck. And then our feet are strong back behind us. We're pressing our heels back and we're on the balls of our toes. So the ball, not the balls of our toes, sorry, the balls of our foot. So right underneath your toe, the ball of your foot. And then let's drop our knees here. And we can either tuck or untuck our toes. So the next pose after plank is chaturanga. So chaturanga is actually just one pose. A lot of people think of it as moving through the vinyasa part, but it is just one of the poses in that little 3-part vinyasa. So for chaturanga, I'm going to come to the side. Sorry, if you can scoot back. Sorry. Okay, so we're here with our wrists right over our shoulders. And then for chaturanga, we are leaning forward. That way, whenever we come down, our elbow is then over our wrist. So if you want to just try that, slowly lower down. Whenever you lower down, it's like you're grazing your ribs with your elbows. You're not squeezing them in tight, you're just grazing them. So maybe do that a few times, slowly coming down, then coming back up. Of course, keep your knees down, unless you want a lot of work, but we're going to be doing a lot of these, so. So just showing that. So we really want, whenever we lower down, grazing the ribs, and whenever we come down, our shoulders are in line with our elbows in line with our wrists. We're making a 90-degree angle, shoulder, elbow, wrist. So you can imagine it like that. So just doing a few of those, so you can actually lean forward just a little bit. Yep, so then your elbow is over your wrist. And then you want another thing, so whenever you lower down to about right there. That's as far as you want to lower down. So like I said, you want to have a 90-degree angle, so you're not dumping into your shoulders, you're not dumping all the way down, because that will hurt your shoulders over time. But we want to, a little bit higher. Keep going, right there. Yep, 90-degree angle, perfect. Okay, take a sip of water really quick. If you want to take a break, take a little break, come into child's pose. Like I said, it's not going to be, even though we're just breaking it down for right now, it's still a lot of work because you're holding the poses for a long time. Okay. So after chaturanga, there's 2 poses that you can do. You can either do baby cobra or upward facing dog. So first we're going to talk about baby cobra. So moving through that, so going into chaturanga, lowering down, and then all the way to your belly. For baby cobra, we want to untuck the toes, have the feet flat on the ground, hands next to your ribs, and then just coming up a little bit. It's not a big back bend. Almost like what we did, earlier with Shalabhasana, just coming up. Right there, you're not pressing, you're not putting a lot of weight in your hands. You can actually release your hands. And then let's come down. Forehead to the ground. Let's try that again. Coming up into baby cobra. Softening the shoulders away from the ears, spreading across the collarbone, pulling the elbows back. So again, your elbows are in that same position as chaturanga. They're grazing the ribs. They're pointing back towards your feet. No weight in the hands really. And then exhale, lower down. And then on this next one, you can do another baby cobra, or if you'd like, we can come up this time into upward facing dog. So tucking the toes and pushing yourself up this time. And then, you do come up on your toes so that you can come up, but you are flat on the top of your feet. So you're pushing yourself through, you're opening the collarbone, softening the shoulders away from the ears, pressing through the hands so that your thighs and legs are all off the ground. Tops of the feet are on the floor. You're pressing down through the whole top of the foot. And you're looking straight ahead, again, keeping that tuck to the chin. And exhale, lower down. So that one, of course, is a little bit more intense than baby cobra. So you can choose in your sun salutations to either do baby cobra or upward facing dog, whatever feels good for your body. I'll just show what upward facing dog looks like from the side. Excuse me. So upward facing dog from the side would be lowering down to chaturanga. I'm shifting forward to lower down and then coming up onto the tops of my feet. My wrists are underneath my shoulders. I'm pressing my chest through my arms, spreading across the collarbone, softening the shoulders away from the ears, and really pressing through my hands and the tops of my feet so that my legs are up off the ground. Then to get into downward facing dog, I would tuck my toes and come back. All right. So let's do that a couple times just to really get some work into those arms. So coming into plank. Again, you can lower your knees if you'd like or keep them up. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly lower down to chaturanga, 90-degree angle. Then all the way down if you want baby cobra, or up into upward facing dog. And exhale, press the hands, downward facing dog. And take a few moments here in your downward facing dog. So I'm gonna give some cues also in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. I'm frozen. Oh, I hope it's not frozen. My mom said hers was, I hope not. Okay, so in downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, we have our hands about shoulder distance apart or a little wider. I like a little bit wider. That way it's just safer for the shoulders and helps the shoulders. So you're pressing down through all parts of the hand. So really pressing down through the thumb, the index finger, spreading the fingers. Then we are rolling the triceps down. Yep. That way whenever you roll the triceps down, you're opening across your back, across your collarbones, and engaging the biceps. Placing a bend in the knee. That way you can push your hands back even more. That way you have a long line from the crown of your head all the way up your spine through your tailbone. Your feet are about hip distance apart or a little wider, whatever feels good for your body. But yeah, just being mindful that the whole point of down dog is not to have your heels down on the ground. It's really to have that long line, those straight arms, the triceps rolling down, long line from the crown of your head to your tailbone. And let's drop our knees, come down into child's pose. Take a break, take a breath. Okay, so coming back up, downward facing dog, looking to the top of our mat, stepping our feet forward, and whenever we step forward, we're coming into that Ardha Uttanasana halfway lift, and then exhale, fold. Then inhale, leading with the chest, opening the arms, the straight back coming all the way up. So you want to lead with your chest whenever you come up. And then hands through heart center, Tadasana. Okay, so that was pretty much all of them broken down. I hope that that all made sense, and we're going to move through a couple more of those just to, get the body moving. But I hope that you can keep all of those cues with you, all of those little thoughts about the muscles that should be used and softened and whatnot throughout the rest of your Surya Namaskars, sun salutations. Okay, so starting at the top of your mat, hip distance apart, your feet are hip distance, Tadasana. Inhale, circle the arms overhead, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, hinging at the hips, keeping the hips over the ankles, dive forward. All the way down to Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Hands can be on the shins, thighs, or blocks. And then exhale, plant the hands down, step back into plank. Take a pause here. Take an inhale, shift forward, And exhale, lower down to chaturanga or all the way to the ground. Inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. Take an inhale and exhale, tucking the toes, coming into downward facing dog. Take 2 breaths here. Again, rolling the triceps down towards the ground, opening across the chest, the back. You want your ears next to your biceps so your head isn't dropping too much. You can actually come up a little with your forearms, there you go, and then spread across here. Rolling the triceps, yep. Then let's take an inhale, look to the top of the mat, step or hop to the top of your mat, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Inhale, leading with the chest, keeping those hips over the ankles, circling the arms overhead, hands through heart center, and Tadasana. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, fold forward, all the way down to Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, halfway lift. Hips are over the ankles, so you may need to shift forward. And exhale, place the hands down, step back to plank. You can keep your knees down or keep them up. Our shoulders are over our wrists. We're spreading across the collarbone. Take an inhale. And exhale, shift forward and lower down to that 90-degree angle or down to the ground. Inhale, upward facing dog or baby cobra. Let's take a pause here. If you're in upward facing dog, we're pressing through the hands, pressing through the tops of the feet. Our legs are lifted off the ground. We're also engaging the core, that way we're not dumping too much into the back. Take an inhale, and exhale, tucking the toes, come back into downward facing dog. How you feeling?
My lower back is just so tight. So Cobra helps it a lot, or feels like it helps it a lot.
Yeah, well good. Yeah, you just gotta get it moving. Inhale, look to the top of the mat, step, hop, or jump to the top into a halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Then exhale, fold Uttanasana. Inhale, leading with the heart, circling the arms overhead, all the way up. This time, if you want to touch hands at the top, looking up, softening the shoulders away from the ears. And exhale, hands through heart center, Tadasana. All right. One more time. Inhale, circle the arms overhead. Again, we can look up, softening the shoulders down away from the ears. Maybe the hands touch. And exhale, hinging at the hips, folding forward. Hips are still over the ankles, so maybe shifting forward a little. And fold into Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Long straight spine from the crown of your head all the way through your tailbone. And exhale, plant the hands, step back into plank. And let's take a pause here in plank. So if we want a little bit more of a workout, maybe you're worn out already because that is a lot. If you want a little bit more, let's bring that right knee into the chest. So we're keeping that plank position. We still have a straight back, not rounding the back, pressing through the hands, spreading across the collarbone. And then bring that right knee to the right elbow. And breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Then bring that right knee over to the left elbow. Again, keeping a long, straight spine, pressing through the hands, back to center. Take one more inhale, lift it as high as you can, and exhale back. Maybe lower the knees. Maybe take a break. And then, let's see. Carol, oh my gosh. Oh yeah. It's a lot whenever, even though we've only done maybe 3 sun salutations or 4, it's a lot whenever you hold the poses, whenever you're really thinking about every single muscle you're using, it's a lot of work. So coming back into plank position, we have our wrists underneath our shoulders, our hands are spread, our feet are back, we're on the balls of our feet, heels are pressing back. Then let's lift that left knee. Lift that left knee to the chest. Again, we're not rounding the back, we're keeping a long straight spine like a plank. Then bring that left knee to the left elbow, holding here, pressing through the hands, breathing. Then left knee to right elbow, taking an inhale and an exhale. knee to center. Take one more inhale, lift as high as you can, then press it back and come down to your knees, child's pose. Let's all take an inhale through the nose and an exhale out the mouth. Take two more. Inhale through the nose and exhale. Let it go. One more. Inhale through the nose and exhale. Okay, so we can all come up, and like I said, we only have, gosh, not too much longer, so let's come onto, just do a little bit more core here. So we're coming onto our sit bone, so meaning the bone where maybe have to pull our buttock from underneath us. Our knees are in front of us, they're hip distance apart. We have a long straight spine from the crown of our head to our tailbone. I'm sure y'all are tired to hear me say that. And then we're coming into Navasana, boat pose, so doing some core. So engage the core and lean back. Maybe you keep the toes on the ground, maybe you lift them. You can place your hands behind your knees, and you're really using your core. Spread across the collarbone, soften those elbows down to the ground. If you feel good here, maybe bring the hands, palms up out to the side, and taking a few more inhales here, lifting the chest. One more inhale, and exhale, lower down. Whew, how'd that feel?
Yeah.
Okay, one more, so let's lean back. Hands behind the knees. Again, spreading across the collarbone, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Your elbows are softened down. Maybe bring the hands out to the side. Maybe straightening those legs as much as you can. Woo, I'm shaking. Engaging the core. Spreading across the chest. Looking towards the feet. And exhale down. Yeah. Woo. Okay, let's do one more. So hands behind the thighs. Leaning back. Spreading across the collarbone. Opening the chest, engage the core. Lift the legs a little higher. Maybe release the hands. Maybe if you want a little more, let's inhale down, exhale up. Inhale down, exhale up. Inhale down, exhale up. Inhale down, exhale up. Take a pause here. We're spreading across our collarbone. Maybe lift the feet a little higher. Take a pause. Take a breath, one more, and lower down. Oh my goodness. Whew, that was good. Okay, so I hope that everybody feels good and warm. We're gonna kind of cool down now since, like I said, we only have about 10 minutes left. So let's come onto our backs, and we're going to do a supine pigeon pose. So we're coming onto our backs. Let's cross that, bring our feet, the soles of the feet down on the ground. Bring the right foot over the left knee, and then you can either stay here, if that feels like enough for you. You're pressing that right knee back so that you're really opening up here. If that's not enough for you, maybe bring that left knee towards the chest. Maybe bring the hands behind the thigh of the left leg. And you have your shoulders, your head, everything on the ground, your lower back. And let's just take a moment here to come back to our breath. Maybe close the eyes. Tuning back into those inhales and exhales. Maybe bring it a little closer if that feels good. And if it feels okay for your body, you can see if it does. If not, you can stay here. Or maybe try and drop that right foot to the ground so that you get a twist. So drop the right foot to the ground so you're twisting, and your left leg is then on the ground, right foot is on the ground, and your shoulders are still down, and you can find that twist on your back. Maybe look over that right shoulder. And just take a moment to close your eyes and feel all the sensations going on in your body. And coming back up to center, Take one more breath here, maybe squeeze it in as tight as you can, and then exhale, drop, and switch legs. Maybe take a moment just to see how it feels in neutral. And then cross the left ankle over the right knee. Again, you can stay here with that right foot on the ground, whole top of the body on the ground, shoulders on the ground, or you can lift that right leg up and bring it close to your body. We are trying to push that left knee open. That way you really feel the stretch in the hip. Really feel it across the body. You have strong feet as well as if you're standing on the ground. And just taking a couple breaths here. Let's all take an inhale through the nose and an exhale out the mouth. Again, if you'd like, you can drop that left foot to the ground, that right leg to the ground, and you're getting that twist in the body. So our shoulders are still down, head is still down, and we're maybe looking over that left shoulder. And just take a couple breaths here. Maybe feel all the sensations in your body, the muscles still vibrating from everything that we did. And we can start to calm those nerves down, calm the muscles down, and just release, relax. And then coming back up into center, taking one last inhale, bringing the foot as close as you can, and exhale, place the feet down. If you'd like to take anything else here, you can, maybe happy baby, maybe bringing one leg in at a time, one-legged Apanasana, maybe happy baby. It's not a cute view for me. And then when you're ready, coming into our final pose, Shavasana, corpse pose. So for Shavasana, you can place something underneath your knees if that feels good. You want this underneath your knees? It'll feel good for your lower back. There you go. So spreading the legs, spreading the arms, and just releasing here and letting everything go. Oop, you got it.
The ground is so hot. Holy shit.
Relaxing the muscles of the face, relaxing the forehead, the space between the eyebrows, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your hands, palms can be facing up, relaxing your hips and your thighs, relaxing your ankles, and just letting go. Before practice, I pulled a card from Rumi. He is a poet, and I thought that I would read that for Shavasana. It's a beautiful card from him, called The Human Gift. O heart, what is your excuse for all these blunders? Such loyalty is offered by the beloved, yet so much treasure comes from you. Such kindness is offered by the beloved, yet so much defiance and resistance comes from you. Such grace is offered by the beloved, yet so much fault and failure comes from you. Such attraction is offered by the beloved, with sweetness and generosity, yet such jealousy comes from you, with so much doubt and suspicion. Be kind to your heart. You may believe it to be weary from doubt and distrust, so much heartbreak and so many agonies, yet still it beats. Still it persists with unquestioning allegiance to life. What a grand heart it is, this sacred heart of yours. How can it be worthy of anything other than tenderness, gratitude, acknowledgement, and appreciation. Place one hand on your heart and the other hand on top of that hand. And you can say the following to yourself. I love you. You are strong, brave, and powerful. You are gentle, vulnerable, and inspired. You are truth. You are insight. You are wisdom. You are life. I love you and you are safe. You are the divine made flesh. You, my precious heart, my precious connection to life. I adore you. Thank you for loving. Let us open the inner window. Let the stale emotion out and breathe in fresh life now. For you are to be well and thrive according to love's grace and wisdom. I trust in what you know and what you see. In compassion, I honor all perceptions of truth. So be it. You're welcome to stay in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. Since the video is ending, I'll end here, starting to bring movement back into your wrists, your fingers, your ankles, and your toes. Bringing small movements, waking yourself. And when you're ready, rolling on to your right side and gently coming up into a seated position. Bringing our hands to heart center with our eyes still closed. Feeling gratitude for ourselves for practice today and for this beautiful day and being able to connect and share it together. Thank you all very much for coming. I love you all. Namaste. Thank you so much for practice. I hope you all enjoyed it. Drink a lot of water and have a beautiful day. Bye.